My name is Susan Turley, and I work for Raytheon Missiles and Defense, which is part of Raytheon Technologies, which in turn is one of the world's largest aerospace and defense companies. And then RMD, as we call it, Raytheon Missiles and Defense, it's actually Southern Arizona's largest private employer. Now, I personally work in what we call strategic sourcing for supply chain, our global supply chain. My job is to help find the suppliers who are out there and to compete them against each other and to ultimately select those suppliers who can provide us the best value products and related services. I honestly never expected I would end up here. I spent 21 years on active duty with the Air Force, and while I was doing that, I got an advanced degree in government contract law. And so for much of my career, both as an active duty attorney, military, a JAG as people know it, and then as a civilian attorney, I worked for the Department of Defense in government contracting. And I ended up at Raytheon through a chain of events that started when I wanted to get back to Arizona, but it was actually kind of a natural progression for me, even though I'd never really thought about it, because as a military attorney, I never actually deployed. So government contracting has kind of been the next best thing for me, because it allows me to acquire and to provide those technologies that keep the warfighter and our allies and our country prepared and safe against whatever threat comes our way. As far as what are the qualities that people need, what are the kind of people that will do well in this field? First of all, obviously, you have to be willing to work hard. I think that's true in any position. It helps to have good critical thinking skills and to be able to work both independently and on a team, and to be able to strategize and innovate. As a technology company, things change rapidly, and it's the same way in the Department of Defense. While the Department of Defense, being a government bureaucracy, perhaps doesn't change as quickly as industry does, we still have to be very adaptive and flexible. And of course, Raytheon has a crucial need for engineers, but you don't have to be an engineer to succeed. I got my degree in journalism, and I personally believe that journalism would prepare people for almost any career or any further study, because it taught me how to communicate. And even in today with Twitter and acronyms, that's still important. So it taught me how not only to write, but how to ask questions and to research issues, and then to take the information that I found and succinctly and accurately synthesize it and present it to an audience that can really vary. And those are skills that I have always used, both in my initial military career as a practicing attorney and in my current job. The first thing I would say, and this won't come as any surprise to anybody, but we can't underestimate the value of knowing how to use technology. And I am not talking about creating, using PowerPoint or creating an online video. What I'm talking about are things like data analytics. Both the beauty and the curse of the internet is that there is so much information out there. So we all have to know how to sort through that, how to analyze it, how to characterize it, how to give it meaning to what we're doing. And so I just think any of those kinds of skills are really important. When I talk to younger mentees, say in high school or early in their college careers, I also encourage things like do more than understand the basic functions of programs like Excel. Learn its capabilities for data collection and analysis. And then if you have the interest and the aptitude, which I unfortunately do not, but get exposed to some of the more advanced data analytics tools. And then, you'll hear, if you can at least understand the basics of coding, software coding, that's so important. I have learned a little bit of it, but we really depend on those people who can create their own programs or who can create the tools that we need. Now, as far as certifications, I think, at least for me, something like project manager training is really important. Even though my title doesn't involve project management, that's what I do. I have a project and I take it from its inception and I have to see it through to completion. And so PMP certifications, which are very available, I'm sure the U of A does them. There's lots of online courses. And then finally, those kinds of skills help with things like organizing and scheduling, setting goals, driving towards completion, recognizing and managing risk, opportunities, change, leading a team, conflict resolution, communicating, persuading, influencing with and without authority, all those buzzwords that we hear. So any opportunities that people have to gain those skills are really important. And then the other thing I say to those who are young professionals who want to know how to get to progress, very early on in my career, and I'm sure others have heard this, I was told the best way to get the job you want next is to do the best you can in the job you have now. And that's so true. And nobody's going to look at you for advancement if you can't handle what you're doing now. And then the other thing is, put yourself outside your comfort zone. Look for something new, because I think everybody appreciates a coworker or an employee or a friend or a neighbor or whatever who's willing to volunteer, willing to help out, willing to take on new challenges. So that's one of the things I really like about my current position. I've been with Raytheon about 5.5 years, and I'm on my 4th formal job title. So I've always had the chance to do something different and push myself. And so I would say, if you're looking at working in the defense contracting arena or defense manufacturing, if you're not somebody who deals well with change, then this may not be the right industry for you. But if you're somebody who thrives on that new challenge or the opportunity to innovate, then that's important. And again, those kinds of demonstrated skills can perhaps make up for a little bit of a technical deficiency. So that's what I would encourage people, just to always think outside your set swim lane or your set parameters and look for something new and different. I grew up in this little town in southeastern Arizona. It's northeast of Tucson, just about 30 miles inside the New Mexico border, where my family had been there for literally generations, as long as the town had been there. I had a scholarship to the U of A. I had one to ASU too, but I never even considered going to ASU. So I had my scholarship to the U of A right out of high school, and I just didn't feel comfortable leaving. So I stayed and I went to the little community college of my hometown. And then finally I realized, okay, I've got to go out in the big world, big wide world. And again, I don't mean to sound trite, but the U of A broadened my horizons for me in a way that I had never experienced before. It gave me opportunities that I wouldn't have had anyplace else. I did a legislative internship at the Capitol one year. I went to summer school in Guadalajara. I was on the marching band. I was on the student newspaper. And it wasn't just that there were more people at the U of A than there were in my entire county. It was just the sheer depth of experience. And the other thing it taught me to do was no longer was I known by my family and the other people I was related to in my hometown. I had to establish an identity based on me and me alone. And I had to learn to interact with people and get along with people and understand people who were drastically different from me in many, many ways. So even though I was only 2.5 hours away from home, it was just a real sea change or game changer or life-changing experience for me. And then when you add my journalism studies on top of that, because there is no way that you can plan to work as a journalist and be shy about talking to people and meeting people and asking questions, and sometimes asking those uncomfortable questions, and just being able to get outside yourself. Without all those experiences, I would never, I don't think, have ever been able to do things like just we up and joined the military, which was nobody in my family has really done that. And then I went off to law school in the military while my husband ended up staying home with our children. We went all over the world. I met people I still come in contact with. All those experiences that taught me how to develop and refine my own values and priorities, adapt my communication skills, learn good problem solving skills, and then again, just the ability to establish relationships with people who aren't just like me. That's what the U of A gave me. And without that, I don't think I would ever have had the confidence to make the career choices I did, the ability to establish the connections that I have. Again, some of them still after 30 years, nor do I think I would have established the level of professional success that I've been blessed enough to achieve. So that's, like I say, it may sound trite, but it really was one of those seminal experiences in my life to go to the U of A. And I'm so glad that I'm finally back in Arizona where I can pass that on.